On news tonight, the co-author of a book written about the Murdaugh murders is setting the record straight after pulling it from shelves. Longtime journalist Neil Gordon partnering with Colleton County Clerk of Court Becky Hill to write Behind the Doors of Justice before finding out Hill plagiarized a portion of their book. Well, tonight, in a Fox Carolina exclusive, Margaret-Ann traveled to Augusta to sit down with Gordon, who talks about being blindsided by Hill's actions.
Her idea was to chronicle what was really being called the trial of the century, maybe as a keepsake for historical data and for people to look back on it after we're all gone.
Where do you think it all went wrong with her?
Wow, that's a great question. Let me think about that.
It was nearing the end of Alex Murdaugh's 6-week double murder trial. Media and trial watchers from all over the country and world had descended on the Colleton County Courthouse. One of them, Neil Gordon's wife.
My wife had a chance meeting with her the second to last day of the trial as Becky was ready to hop into a van to head to Moselle with the jury and sheriff deputies and the judge to look at the crime scene. And they took a selfie together, and they communicated a week or so later, and then again in another week.
His wife's chance encounter with Colleton County Clerk of Court Becky Hill quickly developed into a friendship.
Becky shared that she had been taking notes prior to the trial and during the trial and had been interested in writing a book.
Gordon, a longtime journalist, and his wife, a photographer, offered to partner up with Hill.
We spent dozens of hours either via the telephone or Zoom or even in person in the studio, and I just asked her questions and took notes.
From there, Gordon says he would write a first draft, send it to Hill. She would put it in her voice, and together they would send it to the editor. The book, released several months after the guilty verdict. Around the same time, Murdaugh's defense attorneys called for a new trial. The reason? Becky Hill.
It gave Dick Harpootlian and Jim Griffin a chance to read the book and look through it, and they claim that her motivation behind allegedly tampering with the jurors was to get this book deal and to have fame and to have fortune. But as I mentioned to you, there was no Madison Avenue publisher or no book deal. We actually, our families put in money together, and Amazon has a wonderful program where you can self-publish your own book. And we rolled the dice because we thought the story was so interesting.
But the story wasn't done. In December, Fox Carolina asked and received 2,100 pages of Becky Hill's emails. Emails from her work at Colleton County for all of 2023. Gordon also receiving them.
From Thursday early evening until I couldn't keep my eyes open anymore, probably early Friday morning, I was voraciously reading through page by page. I couldn't put it down. And then I hit page 1644 and I went, oh my God, Becky.
There it was. Passages from their book identical to an article from the BBC.
She was having an email exchange with a reporter from the BBC, and what we learned was the BBC reporter accidentally sent this email to Becky thinking it was Becky from her newsroom, a different Becky. So she accidentally clicked on Becky's email address, sent it to her, and then almost immediately said, please delete this email, it was a mistake. And then Becky responded and said, oh, I will, but boy, this is really terrific writing. What a great job it was.
Gordon immediately called Hill.
Becky said to me that she was really trying to develop more content. She remembered that this great article was in her news. She remembered that this great article was on her email. And so she said, I took it, I sent it in, and I'm sorry. And that's basically.
Does your heart just drop at that point?
Yeah, I said, Becky, that's plagiarism. I said, we can't do that. It's not our work.
After decades covering stories across the country, the script had flipped. Neil Gordon's name was plastered across headlines related to Becky Hill's plagiarism. He worried what would become of his own reputation.
No question about it. That was the number one thing to us was, that's how I make a living. I make a living in Augusta. with Augusta Business Daily.
After knowing Becky and working with her for quite some time, do you think that her actions with the plagiarism were just negligent, or do you think that they were malicious? What were your thoughts?
I don't think they were malicious at all. I think Becky's, like many of us, she's kind of a pleaser. She wants to do well, she wants to do good, she wants to be thought of as doing good, and sometimes pleasers don't say no to things. That's my personal opinion.
He says Hill enjoyed the limelight.
I think as more and more people came in contact with her and she was able to use her gift of hospitality and welcome them into the courtroom, doing tours after the trial, for instance, asking her questions, and her feeling a real sense of pride as being a leader in this kind of effort.
Now Gordon is looking to the future, writing his own book about trial watchers all around the country who put their lives on hold to follow true crime cases. One he'll be writing alone.
I just feel like we kind of got caught in the Becky blender, and we're just doing our job as storytellers, and we just want to keep telling great stories in the future.
In Augusta, Margaret-Ann Carter, Fox Carolina News.